Tonight on the South Today, Ngāi Tahu hopes to bring its popular shot-over jet attraction into the future with a cleaner power source. Members of Dunedin's music industry concerned a landmark venue may be under threat due to development. And we meet New Zealand's youngest Justice of the Peace to find out what attracted him to the role. Kia ora, good evening, I'm Phil Vaughan. The world's first electric jet boat for tourism has been unveiled as part of a broader plan by iwi Ngāi Tahu around climate change. The quieter thrill ride's already proven its ability on the water. However, passengers will have to wait a bit longer to jump on board.
A world first for commercial jet boating. The world's first commercial electric jet boat, designed specifically for tourism, was unveiled on Wednesday at Shotover Jet near Queenstown. The jet boat operation's owned by iwi Ngāi Tahu, which is bringing the prototype vessel to life as part of its contribution to a zero-carbon future. Ngāi Tahu Tourism General Manager Jolanda Cave believes this is an important step in the right direction.
So absolutely, to our knowledge, it's the first commercial jet boat operation to turn into electric. Because of our 4 businesses and the number of the fleet that we have, we would be one of the larger jet boat operators, commercial jet boat operators in the world. The
near-silent jet boat currently manages 2 full trips on the water before needing to be recharged, but that currently takes around 15 hours. The goal is to dramatically improve this downtime as technology improves, with the hope the recharge time can be reduced to just under half an hour.
When you think of the Hollyford, that's somewhere where it's going to be absolutely phenomenal. Dark River, it'll be phenomenal. Here at Shotover, I actually think it's going to add to the adventure, going towards those canyons and the only noise being the water turbines.
But Shotover Jet skipper Nicholas Simpson insists the thrill of the ride hasn't been dulled.
We now have the e-boat behind me here, which I've been fortunate enough to be the test pilot for, and comparatively it drives exactly the same. It just really heightens your senses and the fact that you can't hear those engines behind you, which is a really cool sensation.
But tourists won't be able to test drive the new ride for themselves for a while yet. Full commercialisation of this prototype electric jet boat is still several years away. However, making the Shotover experience quieter and more environmentally friendly is another tick in the box for Ngāi Tahu Tourism, with the company aiming to make all of its operations carbon neutral by 2050. In Queenstown, the South Today.
Queenstown's Coronet Peak ski area says power supply failures pose a massive health and safety risk for customers. Yesterday, the field lost power for the 3rd time in 3 weeks, along with more than 2,000 residents in Arrowtown, Dalefield and Arthurs Point. Coronet Peak ski area manager Nigel Kerr says it was only good fortune that the outage happened before the ski field opened for the season. He fears a power cut could leave people stranded on a ski lift, with the slow process to get them off creating a perfect hypothermic storm if it's cold or windy. Aurora Energy says it's trying to identify the cause of the faults, but warns until they can be repaired, there is a possibility the outage may happen again. A Dunedin group promoting live music in the city is describing plans to build apartments alongside a legendary music venue as a worst-case scenario. Save Live Music Dunedin is concerned the mixed development beside the Crown Hotel could see another music venue forced to close.
Plans to construct a multi-use building adjacent to Dunedin's historic Crown Hotel, including retail and residential spaces, are causing concern in the city's music community. A proposed 4-storey building has received consent for this vacant lot in Rattray Street, which would include accommodation on the 2nd and 3rd floors.
This was always a worst case scenario for us when we were talking about development affecting the live music scene in Dunedin. We always used the empty block next to the Crown Hotel as an example of it would be absolutely dire if something went up there that could affect the music that happened in this venue, which is very much the spiritual home at the moment of music in Dunedin.
Consent documents revealed the new building would have a total footprint of 173 square metres, with retail on the ground floor and office space on the 1st floor. Spokesperson for Save Live Music Dunedin, David Bennett, says the groups met with an independent city planner in the hopes of preventing this sort of development taking place.
These were aimed to stop this exact kind of thing happening and the potential damages it could, so we're going to pick that back up with a lot more fervour and ask the council where they're at with it, and see that some of these changes that we had recommended to them get adopted to protect venues within the city.
Bennett's a career professional sound engineer by trade, working with a local company, and understands how sound waves travel. If the development goes ahead, he has some simple advice for those building it, especially given the standards developers need to meet around noise mitigation, which are low when compared internationally.
We have very basic, very bare bones standards, and developers need to start actually putting in the money on the building side to ensure that their residents are protected from not just the noise of music venues, but the noise of a growing city.
The Save Live Music Dunedin group is planning a hui for later this month at the Crown Hotel to discuss the situation and possible next moves. In Dunedin, the South Today.
There was a yelp of relief from the public gallery at Invercargill High Court this afternoon as Ōtoto woman Sandy Graham was found guilty of murdering Dale Watene. Mr Watine's body was found buried in a shallow grave in the Longwood Forest near Ōtoto in May 2020. The Crown said Graham had knowingly shot Mr Watene on the night of April the 16th that year. The jury also found George Hyde guilty of being an accessory after the fact to manslaughter. Graham's defence lawyer accepted Mr Watene had been shot at the woman's Ōtoto home, but said it was not done on purpose nor with murderous intent, but was an accident. Hyde also admitted he disposed of the body, but says Graham had told him Watene had taken his own life. Sandy Graham was remanded in custody, while Hyde was remanded on bail. Both will reappear for early sentencing in early November. A young man has decided to dedicate some of his spare time to community service. Bronson Blackburn is the only 21-year-old who can officially be referred to as Your Worship, after becoming New Zealand's youngest Justice of the Peace.
Joining a group of respected community members, Bronson Blackburn has passed the thorough vetting process and exam to become one of the country's newest JPs. And at just 21 years old, he's currently the youngest JP in New Zealand, but says he first considered putting up his hand for the job when he was just 19.
I had considered it back in 2019, left it for a couple of years, and then through my work we discovered that there was a real need for JPs in the Dunedin electorate, and I just sort of decided, well, I guess it's time I put my application in, and did so, and I just saw it was a way of giving back to the community.
Blackburn's taken a year off university study and is currently working 2 part-time jobs. He'll be working alongside experienced JPs in Dunedin to gain knowledge on the job.
So it's anything from certifying copies of birth certificates, passports, through to dissolutions of marriage, doing the affidavits and that sort of work for that. So it's a varied role, but one that I'm very excited to take on.
JP service desks are manned at different times of the week and can be found in some of the city's libraries and community hubs. In Dunedin, the South Today.
Ia whaia ki nei, still to come on the South Today. Silicon Valley South secures future foundations to take on the world, and an exciting new use for a landmark building in Karatane.
Living Well Disability Resource Centre, a not-for-profit charitable organisation and your one-stop shop for information and resources to help you retain independence. We offer a wide range of assistive products from jar openers to mobility scooters and provide assessments for Total Mobility, the half-price taxi scheme. Come and see the friendly team. You'll find us on the corner of George and Bath Streets, ground floor of Burns House.
Get into bed with John. My mate John wants you to get into bed this weekend. He's having a massive bed sale with 20 to 75% off his entire range of beds and mattresses. John and his team of sleep specialists will find your perfect mattress match and get you sleeping soundly at a price you only dreamed. Get into bed with John. 20 to 75% off all beds, plus 18 months interest free.
Where did you get that furniture from? Stafford Street. And my mate John.
We're Age Concern Otago.
Age Concern Otago hosts a multitude of social activity, including indoor walks.
Hi, my name's Matt and I'm the Dines Group CEO. Dines is a company that's focused on selling logistics solutions to its customers. We're passionate about selling efficiency and we've been selling efficiency for over 50 years now.
Every day the team at Gillian supports grieving families at their time of need. From answering your questions to organising a farewell that reflects the wishes of your loved one. We can help. Call Gillian's today.
Welcome back. Christchurch's boutique version of Silicon Valley has recently secured a 15-year extension of their land lease agreement with the Christchurch City Council. Epic Innovation Campus is home to more than a dozen local tech companies who, after 10 years of innovation, are mixing it with the best on the world stage.
A building that began as a disaster recovery project has evolved into Christchurch's beating heart of technology innovation. Epic, the Enterprise Precinct and Innovation Campus on Manchester Street, houses around 15 local tech companies. Co-founder Will McLean says since its inception in 2012, the campus has injected an estimated $50 million into the economy. Since the earthquakes, it's grown to become Christchurch's mini version of California's Silicon Valley.
There was a lot of people who needed a safe place to go, and we found that by people clustering together at events and meetings, there was a lot of support for each other. So we thought, well, if there's nowhere to rent, why don't we build a place where these organisations can support each other and also share costs efficiently with shared facilities.
The venue was only meant to be temporary, but the businesses thrived on working together. Because of the earthquakes, the facility was built to a strong building code with a 50-year lifespan, meaning the only uncertainty was their land lease agreement with the City Council.
We could see the model was working, the tenants were happy, there was high demand in the city for a facility like this. The council were great and worked with us, and we extended that agreement, and again recently we've extended it again out to 2040 because it works.
Fellow co-founder Colin Anderson says they had a lot of help in their first 5 years, but the shared workspace is now fully funded, with all debts having been repaid.
I think the key thing is just keeping it alive and vibrant. So we constantly tune things, like we've upgraded our meeting rooms, upgraded our tech in the meeting rooms. We run a lot of events here.
They're grateful to have Epic's tenancy at the central city site guaranteed for another 2 decades, ensuring they can now focus their efforts on helping more of their tenants achieve their goals. In Christchurch, the South Today.
A former hospital near Karatane has been turned into a spectacular accommodation venue. The new owner of the building has spent a year on renovations, creating a facility that can be used for everything from retreats to celebrating milestone birthdays.
The results of 12 months of renovation work. This 100-year-old home on the hill overlooking Karatane has now been turned into a guest house with ensuite bedrooms that can accommodate up to 12 people. South African-born Elsa Erasmus took on the project, saying the venue provides a range of spaces for guests to relax in and enjoy.
We've got a lovely enclosed veranda that runs the length of the house that captures all-day sun. We've also got a lovely lounge and we've created space throughout the gardens and the outdoors for people to just meet and hang out.
The building was originally a hospital for shell-shocked soldiers returning from World War I. She now wants it to be a place to relax in and avoid the stresses of everyday life.
This is really a place that you escape to reconnect with yourself, to reconnect with nature, to Tao, and really reset. And we'd like to think that our guests are going to come here and have a very authentic, very meaningful Kiwi experience.
Erasmus moved to Karatane after a health scare and believes the coastal area has a healing quality, with each day being full of promise.
We just have the most spectacular sunrises, and every day is kind of a beautiful start to the day when you can wake up and come out of your room and you can actually see a sunrise over the ocean.
She's hoping the venue will be used for a range of events, including weddings, retreats and milestone birthdays. In Karatane, the South Today.
Central Otago's curlers are relishing the winter chill, although they're having to adjust their games to the less predictable outdoor ice. Cool and crisp conditions are allowing a range of competitions to take place, with the hopes a bonspiel could be held this season.
Rugging up warm is essential for these curlers, who've abandoned the indoor ice stadiums to compete outdoors this week at Alexandra's Ice and Line rink. Curlers from Naseby faced off against players from Idaburn in a sport which is celebrating more than 100 years of tradition.
Oh, it's just a great game, and it's a lot of history in this part of the world. It's been played for 140 years, and initially it was just something to fill people's time in, but it's just grown from a cold winter day filler into a sport with a lot of competitions and an opportunity to not just compete for potentially national titles.
Lowburn's Jack Davis is currently known as Milord of New Zealand Curling, a title befitting his skill and 45 years of experience. His responsibility is ensuring players stick to the traditions of the game. He says the sport, not unlike lawn bowls but played on ice with weighted round stones, harks back to a more gentle time. And he reckons teams in other codes could learn a thing or two from curlers' attitudes toward their opponents.
I think a lot of sports could do that, because even the All Blacks are talking about what they could have done better last weekend. I think they did pretty darn well, and it would be just nice. I think they could have given the Irish more credit and themselves a little more credit, because at the end of the day they're the top 3 teams in the world.
Competing outdoors on ice means the sheet isn't as predictable as that found indoors, but players say if you can't curl with skill, curl with luck. Curling in New Zealand goes back to the 1880s, when Scottish and Irish miners brought the social sport with them, with that social aspect still an important part of today's game. In Alexandra, the South Today.
Yeah, whaiaki nei. After the break on the South Today, an important game for a local Highlander as the All Blacks take on Ireland in the second test at Dunedin, and all your latest weather details.
Being a big softie takes training. I've gone to great lengths to be super soft while still being strong and reliable. So I'm soft on you and soft on the environment.
Cotton Soft, proud sponsor of Bowel Cancer New Zealand.
Every reason, every Every season, we're proud to dress the region. Alex Campbell Menswear, it fits.
Come on, mate. The blue doesn't go with the brown.
A poorly maintained heat pump can lose up to 35% of its output. The Mr. Heat Pump Cleaner team are experts. Their specially developed chemical wash is totally biodegradable. Call Mr. Heat Pump Cleaner and get the job done by the professionals.
Get into bed with John. My mate John wants you to get into bed this weekend. He's having a massive bed sale with 20 to 75% off his entire range of beds and mattresses.
And my mate John.
Welcome back. The All Blacks have made one change and a position switch for the second test against Ireland on Saturday. With Sam Whitelock still suffering delayed concussion symptoms, Scott Barrett moves from the blindside flanker to lock. But there's some good news for a Highlanders halfback.
Folau Whakatawa was all smiles at Thursday's All Blacks team announcement. The Highlanders halfback named on the bench for the test against Ireland this Saturday at Forsyth Park Stadium.
Excited to my debut. Maybe finally dream's gonna come true. Pretty chill, relaxing.
Sam Whitelock is still suffering delayed concussion symptoms, which sees Scott Barrett moving from blindside flanker to lock. Highlanders veteran Aaron Smith is the other Highlander named in the team, while Whakatawa was excited to share the good news with his family.
Told him as soon as I get named in the team on Tuesday, I think. They're really proud.
The backline from the first test victory at Eden Park remains unchanged, with the All Blacks expecting the Irish to come back stronger after the last weekend's loss. In Dunedin, the South Today.
And now recapping tonight's top stories on the South Today. Ngāi Tahu wants to bring shot over jet into the future with a new electric jet boat, but it only currently takes 15 hours to recharge and isn't yet ready for passengers. Members of Dunedin's music industry concerned with landmark live music venue, the Crown Hotel, may be under threat due to a new retail and accommodation development. And we meet New Zealand's youngest Justice of the Peace and find out what attracted 21-year-old Dunedin man Boston Blackburn to the role. And now looking at what's happening in tomorrow's ODT, we welcome in Joe Simpson.
Hi. We have the murder case trial verdict down in Invercargill. Southern hospitals are again deferring non-urgent procedures and appointments, and all staff have been told to only do clinical work in their shifts as illness-driven staff crisis continues. Redesigning Dunedin's future should be driven locally, and the city should be careful what it wishes for, says Mayor Hawkins. And we have a 16-page All Blacks versus Ireland special publication.
Lovely, it'll pull out.
Great.
And now time for a look at the weather.
Tonight's weather proudly brought to you by Mole Map.
A deep low pressure becomes more complex over the next few days, continuing to bring frequent rainy periods to the region. There will be some snow on higher ground and colder temperatures. Heading to the top of the South Island, rain in Nelson with a high of 14 degrees. It's similar on the west coast with Greymouth expecting rain and 14, while Christchurch should get to 11 degrees but also due for rain. To our southern towns now. It's the same picture for all in the area. Strong easterlies and rain forecast tomorrow. Expect 9 degrees in Balclutha, Lumsden, Gore and the Catlins. Travelling westward to the Central Lakes, wind and rain is in force here too, with gusty easterlies and rain easing. Queenstown, a brisk high of 5, Wanaka up to 6, Alexandra on 7, and Te Anau set to be the warmest of the bunch on 8 degrees. Northern towns now, where the land of the long grey cloud continues. Expect rain and strong northerlies for all. Oamaru and Timaru should reach 10 degrees. Colder inland with Twizel and Ormarama heading for 6 degrees. Down to Dunedin. Rain and nor'easterlies tonight and a low of 8. Overcast tomorrow with periods of rain and strong nor'easterly winds. A low of 9 and a high of 10. And on Saturday, rain at first with a change to colder southerlies. The rain should ease in time for the walk to the covered stadium for the rugby, but expect a high of 9 degrees and a low of 6. And finally to Invercargill. Cloud increasing tonight and a low of 8. Cloudy tomorrow with periods of rain and gusty easterly winds. A low of 8 and a high of 10. And on Saturday, rain easing to showers during the day with colder southeasterlies. A low of 6 and a high of just 8 degrees. And that's the news for this Thursday. For the latest news and videos from the southern region, head online to odt.co.nz and you can follow Channel 39 on YouTube to catch our news bulletins on demand. Nō reira, kia pai te pō, ka kite anō.
Public interest journalism funded through New Zealand On Air.